very serious issues. But if you keep your sense of humor, it's a really interesting pastime. Beat stamp collecting, and I really enjoy myself. I'm not what I call the happy warrior, the old Hubert Humphrey pitch. I enjoy what I do, and I'm fairly good at it, but I'm not always going to win. It's not, it's David versus Goliath every time when you go up against City Hall or state government or what have you. But it's fun taking them on and giving them a run.
It'd be interesting if you wrote a book about this. How to fight taxes. How to fight City Hall. That might be an interesting book. The nuts and bolts. You can go into details and give people some insight into it. Maybe you can create with a few thousand other Richard writers across the country. That'd be pretty interesting.
Well, I've spoken at various seminars to a degree on this, and you're right. There's more to be learned. Other people have written very good stuff in this area, and frankly, probably better than I have. I've never considered myself a good organizer. I'm a better rabble-rouser, a person who comes forward and makes the case for. I'd rather be the spokesman and the debater and seek out the media. And the truth is, the media comes to our place all the time now on various issues, and that's very good. Not just fiscal issues. They do what we call drive-by shootings. They come by, they give us a call telling they're coming by. They pull up at the curb, call me on the cell phone. I go down to the curb. They've got the tripod out. We film 2 minutes. They take 12 seconds, put it on the air for that evening, and that's that. And it can be any issue. It's any issue where they need a different viewpoint that gets away from the politicians and the bureaucrats and the standard associations, which have a tendency to all mouth the same platitudes. And so I'm able to offer, if I think it's an issue of interest, then I can offer a different point of view, and they like that. And we have a very good rapport with the press. The tax fighters in the press have gotten along very well, and I certainly have a good relationship. Wasn't always that way, but people talk about the press being biased. Well, the case can be made that they are, but the truth is 101, and in terms of fairness, they've treated us very fairly.
So you ran for governor once of California on the Libertarian Party ticket.
Yeah, another 48%, and I would have won that sucker. I chose not to go for the recount, though, after upon consideration. Had fun. Ran against Pete Wilson in '94, and I was actually running on the platform that I was hoping to draw enough votes away from him so the Democrat would win because he was such a terrible governor. Didn't come to pass, but nevertheless, I did what I could, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I met Ron Unz, who was the other Republican candidate, another iconoclast, and we had a very good time together. We're still good friends, but basically. It's quite an experience, and I have heartfelt thanks for anyone who goes out and does it on a big jurisdiction like that, a governorship or for president. That is an incredible job.
Well, this is a segue into talking about something I want to talk about, bonds and fighting bonds and just what they are, because we see these constantly in California. We switched governors, went from a Democratic governor to a Republican governor, and what happened was we ended up paying. We threw out Gray Davis basically because of the car tax, but then Arnold Schwarzenegger gave us a bond that was basically 3 times the car tax plus interest. I think it's 2 times the car tax plus the interest we'll have to pay back eventually. So we ended up throwing this guy out, and then we got a Republican who was worse, cost us even more money, and with a bond. And we see these all the time do they have these in other states as well?
It varies. It varies from state to state. Some of the times the legislature just passes it and they're done with it. On California, fortunately, at least they have to come to a vote. Actually, there were 2 propositions. Prop 57, which had to do with the $15 billion bond.
Well, what is a bond? I mean, most of the taxpayers out there don't understand what a bond is.
A bond is basically the government borrowing from others. They sell a debt. That they borrow money from others, and then over the course of 30 years, the owners of the bonds now collect from the state, first the interest and then eventually the principal back. And it's an easy way for government to defer obligations, but it builds and builds and builds.
You pay interest on it.
But from a political standpoint, it works well because people don't fully grasp what's happened, and it seems to be almost for free. For instance, the state bonds that were issued. These $15 billion worth of bonds did not, and they made a big deal about it, does not require a tax increase. True, but now you got to pay the interest on $15 billion, and you don't have a printing press, so somehow you're going to have to pull the money from some other program or raise taxes, whatever the case may be.
So they create unfunded mandates, basically.
Well, not unfunded mandates so much as deferring time bombs. You're going to see a lot of that concerning pensions here in California because of the pension explosion, and they're trying to issue what they call pension obligation bonds, which are bonds that hide from the people the magnitude of the obligations that they're facing. So bonds are a very, very popular way of dealing with this, with these problems. Pension obligation bonds are unusual in that they can issue them oftentimes without a vote. That's a contentious issue. But the other bonds require, in California, only a simple majority, which they can generally get because they spend millions of dollars, whatever special interest group it's benefiting spends millions of dollars passing them, and we can't afford to compete with that.
Right, and so you've had some success at finding local bonds or defeating them?
Yes, local bonds we have. We've had, for instance, we've had bonds and sales taxes. There were a couple of sales tax attempts to increase taxes for the libraries, and we beat them soundly, much more than anyone suspected.
What are some of the other examples of outrageous spending in California? We have maybe a couple more minutes here left. Do you have a favorite example of just outrageous government spending?
Well, on the state level, one of the big problems is that we're paying corrections officers. The corrections officers cut a deal first with Wilson, then with Gray Davis, got a big increase in Gray Davis. They give literally millions of dollars in exchange for pay.
Right.
And so they got a 35% pay increase and a big pension increase as well. They get what they call 90% of pay pensions at age 50. So they can retire. And these are basically people with high school educations who very quickly end up making $65,000, $70,000 a year and retiring with that. And very frequently they will retire with a disability. Even before then, most highway patrolmen go out on disability, for instance. Many corrections officers go out on disability. What's the disability? I got a sprained finger. And the board has been very generous in allowing these people to go out on disability, and then they go get a job someplace else. And that all passes through as an ongoing, recurring, increasing cost to the taxpayers, which of course drains money away from whatever other causes you're interested in, schools, welfare, or just giving the money back for the people who paid it.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. This
My
has been
pleasure.
Amazing and fascinating. And for those of you out there, get involved in the Libertarian Party. As you see from listening to Richard, there's a lot of work to be done, and you can win, we can win, we're winning all the time. So next time you're waiting in line at another government facility, the post office, you can register to vote as a Libertarian there. When you're waiting in line for an hour to buy one stamp, you can register to vote. You can join us online at www.lp.org, or you can give us a call at 1-800-ELECT-US. And we have over 600 people now elected in the United States to office, including district attorneys and state assemblymen and county supervisors and sheriffs. So this is completely realistic. Hopefully, if you're watching out there and you're interested, we can get you elected somewhere in your town as well. So thanks a lot. See you next time.